All right, so this is the walk around in my 1979 Cx500 Custom. A lot of stuff's been done to it, so I'll try to go through this stuff a little at a time and zoom in on some things so you can kind of get a better idea what it has, what I've done to it, and how it is, and then we'll give it a test start so you can see basically what it has. So starting from the front here, it's got a chopped fender. The shocks have been totally rebuilt. They actually have proper shock fluid instead of ATF in them. Bearings have been serviced. The brakes are brand new EBC brake pads. The rotor has been drilled and slotted. The caliper is new. All of the everything attached to it has been replaced. The brake lines are new. Clutch line, the clutch cable and everything's new. These are adjustable, so you can have them just kind of however you need to fit your hands. LED headlight, all of the wiring on the entire bike has been replaced. All the lighting is LED, low voltage, so that it doesn't take a lot of strain on the battery. It does have an AGM battery, which has been relocated to the bottom here, so you can see where that is. While we're down here, the rear sets here, those are custom made. We have a rear set custom shift linkage, which it works flawlessly. I won't shift it while we're sitting here, but it works totally fine. Exhaust is all 1.5 inch with these shorty mufflers. Dual exhaust, we did away with the crossover pipe on the bottom there, the H pipe, because it just restricted flow, and the chest stand is also gone in place of the battery. It has obviously the clip-on handlebars for the cafe style. We went with the van style grips here. It just fits my style particularly. And then we have the mirrors integrated with these side turn signals. This one on this side, this will be replaced for anybody that buys it, but this one, it did get tipped. That's the only indication that it was ever tipped, and that cracked that, so that'll be replaced before anybody buys it. Up top here, we have the Cognito Moto billet aluminum top for the top tree. It's all a solid piece. It drops the bike a little bit. As far as the forks go, the bike's height hasn't been adjusted at all. I didn't drop it. I didn't want to mess with the rake angles or anything like that, so it rides totally fine at all speeds. Let's see. Choke's been relocated up here so that it's easy access. This is an A-swell gauge. I'm a huge fan of the A-swell gauge because everything is all in one. It has all your dummy lights, they all work. The neutral, the oil light, high beam, low beam, turn signals. You've got tachometer over here, you've got coolant sensor over here, and then you've got speedo, and then you can cycle through things. It's got a clock. You can run digital readout of pretty much any indicator on the bike, so it's better than the big giant stock cluster and gives you just as much information. I simplified the controls. We've got them on these simple push buttons. I wanted it to be simple, so I didn't label them or put any kind of stickers on them, but I feel like since there's only 6 buttons, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'll go through those, but one thing I'll point out, so I did relocate the ignition. The ignition is up underneath here. As you can see, this is our key. Just a little bit out of the way. I do have a spare key for it, not that they're particularly hard to make or anything like that, but buttons up here. We've got, I try to make it pretty self-explanatory, but up is for right-hand turns, so you've got that there, and then you see on the back here, and then down is for left-hand turns. Again, pretty self-explanatory. On the back side here, you've got this button which activates the high beams. The bike is wired so that the headlights are on anytime the ignition is on. Just safer in my opinion that way, so that's the way that I did it. Other side here, we have our kill switch. Kills the bike or keeps it from starting whenever you're not running it. I have a horn, which it's really loud. And then on the back, we've got our ignition. I put it on the back there so that you weren't accidentally tripping it while you were looking for the horn when someone cut you off. But pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple. Comes to the tank, everything's been body worked out on the tank. The paint it has a flat coating on it. It's all fuel proof paint and 2K primer and everything. It looks better in person. It is a little dusty right now, but that's just the nature of the flat paint, but it does have a very good finish. And then these are high quality decals that I got from a company that specializes in that stuff. And then the paint itself is all just a custom job. There's a little bit of Bondo on this, but that's only in places where I couldn't metal work out the little imperfections. For the most part, I try to keep it as Bondo free as possible. I removed this top clip just because I didn't like the look of it, but it's, you know, easy to remove. Everything works on that. It does lock in place, so you're not going to worry about that. Stock radiator, basically pretty basic there. Paint job is obviously the paint job that it is. The carburetor has been totally torn apart. I did an ultrasonic cleaning on it and I replaced every single possible serviceable component on there. It runs really well. It was balanced, but I haven't ridden it that much, honestly, so if we wanted to, for someone that's buying it, we can rebalance it. These are the 4-in-1 cone filters that are designed for these carbs, because a lot of the ones you can buy are not designed to run that way, and they restrict a lot of the airflow and run kind of crappy, so I tried to make sure to do that. Brand new rectifier and everything there for the power. Let's see, the seat is handmade, custom. It's all marine grade vinyl with the weatherproof stitching in there that shouldn't have any wear in the weather. Let's see, the cowl back here, hand formed and everything. I made that with shaping, and then it's been a little bit of Bondo just to shape it out, make it perfect as much as I could. Let's see, the frame itself, obviously it's been chopped here. This is all TIG welded, so it's a quality finish on there, and then the whole thing has been powder coated. All the plugs, the body plugs, if they were missing, have been replaced so that that's complete on there. Try to just do everything as good as possible. The swing arm bearings have been replaced in here, so that's all brand new. You're not going to have to worry about servicing that. When you come back up to here, the main tree bearings that go in here have also been replaced. They've been upgraded to an all balls kit, which is a higher quality kit, so that you're not going to run any issues with that. It turns super smoothly, no problems there. Circling back to the tires, we've got the Shinko Super Classics on the front and rear. They're pretty much brand new because, like I said, I did this last year and I've hardly ridden it at all. That's part of why I'm getting rid of it, because it just doesn't get the use that it needs. They are pretty thin tires, but they ride really well. Only downside is that because they are thin, they do grab some of the lines on the sidewalk or the road as you're pulling away. So just something to be a characteristic of those. Let's see, the shocks, the RFYs, they're not the most expensive shocks, but they ride really smooth. They're not jarring or anything like that, so they ride good. You can see here I've also upgraded on the other side, I'll take you to in a second, the brake system, which is originally a bar style brake for the rear. I've changed that so that it's a cable operated system, and it works fine. If you're like me, you probably hardly ever use your rear brakes, but it does work when you want it to. License plate holder, you've got your lights on here for legality. I did fully service the rear diff here, which has got the proper gear oil in it, and then I went and got the Honda certified grease that goes into this, because you're not supposed to use the stuff. You're using the, I don't even remember what it's called, but the $40 a bottle stuff from Honda. Here's that rear set that has the brake cable attached to it. Pretty simple setup. It works well. The entire engine, as I had mentioned before, has been totally rebuilt. I tore it apart because when I bought it, it had a snapped camshaft on the tail where it goes to the water pump housing. That was replaced with a new one. Everything was torn down. It's been spec'd out, everything is to spec, and it runs really, really smooth. The only thing, as far as full disclosure here, that needs to be fixed is that the rear housing on the engine itself had some kind of a repair that someone had done previously where the mechanical seal goes in. So as you can see, there is some coolant leakage here. It's coming from the weep hole up in the top there. I have a brand new rear case for the engine, and whoever buys this, I'll pull the engine out and put that rear case on there, and that way you've got no leaks at all from this thing. That's the only leak that this thing has. So that was just a product of using the existing engine as it was and not fixing it specifically. So let's see, what else do we want to cover? That is pretty much the gist of it. Along with that engine rebuild, I did do the race sand kit, so the ignition doesn't have the old pickups that were in this thing 40 years ago. It's got brand new electronic Hall effect sensors that pick up from the back here. So the ignition is pretty much flawless, and it just runs really good. It's a really good bike. It's a fun bike. I just don't ride it quite enough to justify keeping it. So with that said, I'll start it up for you, and you just give it a hear and listen to the exhaust, which is, it's not too loud, but it's loud enough you don't hear me talking over it. So mention, this is a cold start. I've backed it out of the garage, but I haven't been running it to give you kind of a false impression. I just cold started it right now, so it is cold right now, and that's with no choke. So it does run really smooth. Obviously with a carbureted bike and everything, colder temperatures outside, the more it warms up, the better it runs. So you give it about 5 minutes and it's perfect. So that's what we've got. So if you guys have questions on it, then give me a holler and I'd be happy to answer. I got nothing to hide on this. I'm really proud of it and excited about it.